Okay, so are you ready to take another deep dive?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
All right, so today we're going to be exploring some pretty fascinating predictions about the future of AI, specifically looking at the timeframes of like 2030 and 2050.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
We're basing this deep dive on a really interesting conversation that we listened to called AI in the Future 2030 to 2050. And what we're going to do today is kind of extract those key takeaways and predictions from that conversation and hopefully provide you with a clear and engaging picture of how these AI advancements might actually uh, change your daily life in the coming decades.
Yeah, that conversation, it's really interesting because it starts with stuff that we see around us all the time now.
Right.
Things like self-driving cars, AI assistants like ChatGPT, and, AI-generated content, which is becoming more prevalent.
Right. It's like everywhere you look now.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see them take those as a starting point and kind of extrapolate out from that to see where things might go.
Yeah, so let's start by kind of zeroing in on that near future.
Right.
Let's say around 2030.
Yeah.
What really stood out to me in the discussion is the idea that AI is going to move beyond just being a tool that we use occasionally.
Mm.
It's going to become like a fundamental part of our everyday routines.
Yeah, much more integrated.
Yeah, exactly. Much more integrated and deeply woven into how we live.
Yeah, and they give some really tangible examples of what that might actually look like. So, for instance, one example is AI systems becoming much more sophisticated diagnostic tools for doctors.
Wow.
Being able to analyze medical data in real time with incredible speed spotting patterns that humans might miss, and that could really alter the role of human doctors.
I mean, it's almost like AI taking over.
Well, perhaps in a way, but it might actually free up human doctors to focus on more complex cases, things that require empathy and nuanced understanding.
So more like the human element.
Exactly.
Right?
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, and another example is AI-powered cities.
Where AI is constantly optimizing energy grids,
Yeah.
traffic flow, resource allocation, just making city living so much more efficient and seamless.
That's actually kind of mind-blowing to think about.
Yeah, it is.
One of the concepts I found particularly intriguing was the emergence of AI companions.
Oh, yeah.
The discussion touched on these becoming increasingly sophisticated in their interactions, almost to the point of being human-like. And it makes you think about the potential for AI to provide not just information or help us manage our tasks, but maybe even offer a sense of connection or companionship.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about, as these AI entities become more sophisticated,
Yeah.
could they develop needs or desires that conflict with human values?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, and it kind of leads into a crucial area that they explore, which is the impact of AI on the job market.
Yeah.
They predict that up to 40% of tasks across various industries could be automated by AI around 2030, which is a pretty significant number.
It is, yeah.
But they also emphasize that this isn't necessarily a purely negative thing.
Right.
It's not just about job displacement. It's about considering how our current skills can be augmented by AI,
Hmm.
or thinking about transitioning into entirely new job roles that will emerge because of AI.
Yeah.
They actually mentioned a couple of really interesting examples, like AI ethics consultant,
Right.
someone who helps organizations navigate the ethical considerations of AI development and deployment.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And then human AI collaboration specialist, which focuses on how humans and AI can work together effectively.
Right. Yeah.
It's like designing strategies for optimal collaboration.
And I wonder about, what kind of skills and expertise people would actually need for those roles.
Right.
Like how do you become an AI ethics consultant? I mean, what does that even look like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would probably involve some technical understanding of AI,
Yeah.
but also some philosophical reasoning about ethics and strong communication skills to bridge the gap between developers and, societal values.
It's almost like a whole new field of study.
Yeah, it is.
Which then brings us to another crucial aspect they talk about, which is AI governance.
Yeah.
They really stress the importance of establishing clear global policies to guide AI development.
Yeah, to make sure it's ethical and unbiased.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
So when we think about all of this in terms of what it means for, just everyday life in the next few years,
Yeah.
on the one hand, we're looking at the potential for some significant efficiency gains and a much smoother way of life. Like,
Right.
imagine less bureaucratic red tape,
Hmm.
faster and more accurate medical diagnoses, and
Mm.
cities that just function so much better.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, as the conversation points out, if AI development and implementation aren't handled carefully,
Right.
we could definitely run into some serious AI-powered headaches.
Yeah, exactly. There's this potential for both great benefit and some significant challenges. And, speaking of challenges, the conversation then transitions into the more speculative realm of
Yeah.
2050.
Yeah, 2050.
Yeah.
This is where things get really wild.
Yeah. They start talking about, like, the smart home evolving to a whole new level,
Hmm.
like proactively anticipating and catering to your needs throughout the day.
It's like it can read your mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than just reminding you of appointments. It's like anticipating what you need,
Hmm.
adjusting your environment, managing your household in a truly seamless way.
It's almost like having a personal butler.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
They also talk about the potential for things like automated grocery ordering
Hmm,
based on your dietary habits and what you normally buy,
right.
and self-driving cars becoming like the standard mode of transportation,
Yeah,
freeing up all that commute time.
that would be amazing.
Right. You could relax or work or do whatever you want in your car.
Yeah, it's really a vision of a highly personalized and automated living environment. It's like
Mhm.
the smart home taken to the next level.
I like that. But perhaps the most groundbreaking thing they discuss for 2050 is this concept of AI-human integration.
Hmm.
Yeah, brain-computer interfaces really take center stage here.
Right.
And it's just this wild idea of being able to interact with technology using just your thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, that would fundamentally change how we engage with the world.
Completely. Yeah.
I mean, think about it, controlling devices with our minds. I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, but it makes you think about, what kind of hurdles are there to actually making this a reality?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not as simple as just thinking and it happening, right?
Exactly.
I mean, one of the major challenges is just the sheer complexity of the brain.
Right.
Decoding those neural signals and translating them into, actual commands requires such sophisticated algorithms and hardware.
It's such a complex organ.
Yeah. And then there's the whole issue of biocompatibility.
Right,
Yeah.
making sure these interfaces are safe and reliable in the long term.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the conversation actually references companies like Neuralink,
Well, yeah.
who are actively working on developing this kind of technology.
Yeah. It's not just science fiction anymore.
Right.
It's becoming a reality.
They also discuss the potential for neural implants to not only control devices, but also to enhance our cognitive abilities
Right.
and like our memory and information processing.
Yeah, like supercharging our brains.
Right, it's amazing.
Yeah. And it goes even further than that. They even talk about the possibility of telepathic communication
Oh,
through these advanced interfaces.
that's like straight out of a movie.
I know, right? But the fact that it's being seriously discussed is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it really is.
And then, thinking about other applications, they talk about the revolutionary potential of AI in healthcare by 2050.
Hmm.
The idea of tiny robots called nanobots.
Nanobots.
Yeah, circulating in our bloodstream, being able to detect diseases in their earliest stages, and even deliver targeted treatments at the cellular level.
Wow, that's really incredible.
Yeah, it could completely transform medicine.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
And then they shift gears and talk about AI's role in space exploration.
Okay.
Thinking about interstellar missions,
Wow.
establishing colonies on Mars,
Mm.
and even creating like self-sustaining AI-driven habitats in space. It's
Wow.
really about pushing the boundaries of what's possible beyond Earth.
Right, it's like AI is essential for that kind of exploration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But, the conversation doesn't just focus on the positive. They also acknowledge the potential downsides of such advanced AI.
Right.
They raise a really important question about what happens when AI becomes so sophisticated that it potentially develops its own goals independent of human direction.
Mm.
It's like what happens when AI is no longer just a tool that we use.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary.
It is. Yeah. And it really challenges our understanding of what intelligence even is.
Right.
Like, what does it mean for something to be intelligent or conscious?
That's a big question.
It is, yeah. And then there's the whole issue of privacy. As AI systems become more powerful and integrated into our lives, they're going to have access to huge amounts of personal data.
Right.
And the conversation prompts us to think about what that means for our personal freedom.
Yeah, in a world that's increasingly shaped by algorithms,
Exactly.
that's a little bit unsettling.
It is, yeah. And it brings us back to the importance of careful governance and regulation,
Right.
finding the right balance between harnessing the benefits of AI and avoiding the potential negative outcomes.
Yeah. It's a really tricky balance.
Yeah, it is.
So to kind of summarize this whole discussion, the key takeaways are that AI is advancing at a really rapid pace.
Yeah.
By 2030, it's likely to be a deeply integrated part of our daily lives.
Hmm.
And by 2050, the world could look very different thanks to the power of AI.
Hmm.
And for you, the listener,
Yeah.
it's not just about watching these changes happen. It's about preparing for them.
Hmm.
Maybe by learning new skills that complement AI or just by developing an adaptability to technological change.
Right.
Ultimately, the future of AI is not something that will just passively happen to us.
Yeah.
It's something we can actively shape through thoughtful development and careful consideration.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the future of AI, here's a thought for you to ponder.
Okay.
As we move towards this increasingly AI-driven world,
Yeah.
what aspects of this technology do you find most compelling or maybe most concerning?
Hmm.
What are your hopes and fears for the future of AI?
Yeah, that's a great question to think about.
Yeah, I think it's something that we all need to be considering as we move forward.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.